Well, hello, my name is Rachel. Welcome to my calligraphy class. Calligraphy, also referred to as brush lettering, modern calligraphy, and hand lettering. Today we'll be learning the fundamentals of calligraphy out of this workbook. We'll be going over things like basic strokes, connecting letters, foligraphy, a few drills for practicing, and some tricks and tips. This workbook is uploaded in the calendar or available for free pickup at the library. And if you're joining us today without the workbook, you can use anything you have at home, pen, paper, Crayola, pretty much anything works as long as you understand the basics by the end of class. Please don't hesitate to stop me anytime during class and ask any questions. For the workbook, I'm just going to use my Tombow pen. I also have a Micron pen, a drafting pencil, or also known as a graph pencil, also an eraser, and any smooth paper. I also like to have tracing paper available, and some line paper. I was able to attach the line paper to the end of the packet. So if you were able to print that, you can write directly out of the book, write on the line paper that I provided, or of course, like I said, anything you have at home. Okay. Just jumping right into page 2. Okay, so here on page 2, we're going to go over the basic strokes. A little background of calligraphy. Calligraphy is broken down into a series of strokes. These basic strokes are the foundation to your alphabet. Once you've learned and practiced and put these together, it will create your entire alphabet. So I'm going to go through each stroke and show you how each one is done, just here on this first page. And then on the next page, you'll go into deep details on how to create and understand brush lettering basics. So for this page, I'm just gonna use the line paper that I have. I don't want to write directly on my workbook. I plan to reuse this. Let me get in frame. Okay. And you know what? I think I'm gonna probably use a Crayola just to start and show you that it is simple to use anything you have at home. All right, first we have our upstroke. Upstroke starts from the bottom up using your lightest pressure, the very tip of the pen. This page also can be used as a drill by filling up the whole entire row. That's why I kind of designed it that way, but just gonna draw a few as we go through the page. Next, I have the downstroke. Downstroke, it starts at the top, full pressure, straight down. Here with the Crayola, using the side of the barrel, flexing it straight down. If you have a flexible pen, or even these Crayolas, once they become flexible enough, the more pressure and the more flexible, the thicker the downstroke will be. Next, we have the overturn. Overturn starts on the bottom left with an upstroke, over, and then once you come over top, you apply the full pressure on the downstroke. So again, light up, over, down, overturn stroke. And then of course, the bigger the pen, the bigger the brush, the bigger your downstrokes are going to be. For example, grabbing a smaller brush pen, I'm going to do the next stroke, which is the underturn. Underturn starts on the top left with full pressure, release before the bottom, back up with light pressure. Look at that difference. I'm going to do it closer over here. Probably do one of these. And usually when you have a small brush pen, you probably want to create a smaller stroke like this, just using the bottom half or even the top half. Okay, back to the large Crayola so we can see it. Underturn, top left, full pressure, release before the bottom, avoid too much at the bottom, release, let me see, you want to release before you touch the baseline. Next, we have a compound curve. Compound curve will be a combination of the overturn and the underturn. Light pressure over, full pressure, release before the bottom, back up. Squeeze one more in there. Next, we have the reverse oval. Reverse oval is just the opposite of the compound curve. So instead of starting with light pressure, you're going to start with downstroke, heavy pressure on your top left. Release before the bottom, underturn directly into an overturn. So again, reverse compound, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke. One more. Here we go. Oval. Ovals are always hard to learn. Okay, my little trick with the oval is that you want to start a little off the center. So what I mean is not here, you're going to start in this area. X marks the spot. So start where the X, over, like an overturn, full pressure backwards, and connect where you started. So try that again. X marks the spot. So very tip of your pen, over, don't apply pressure until you're on the right side. Like it's a combination as well, a combination of overturn and an underturn. And with ovals, you want to, the reason they're called an oval is because of the shape. So like I mentioned, if you keep an overturn and an underturn in mind, that is what will be an oval. What you want to avoid is a circle. That's what we don't want. Again, combination of an overturn and an underturn. And the reason I recommend starting off to the side, people, you can teach yourself how to start at the top. But for me, I always miss a spot and I end up with too much of a point at the top that I'm trying to avoid. And the same thing goes for the reverse oval. So with the reverse oval, you're going to start your X on the right side, go backwards. Combination of an over and an underturn. Oh, didn't like that one too much. There we go. Little dot. Obviously, you're not going to be writing a dot in a. If you did want to have a little spot, I would say just one tiny little dot just to keep your eye on the prize. Reverse and back up and disguise that little dot. With the exit stroke or with the connecting point. Okay, let me flip this to make some room. Okay, so next we have our ascending loop. With the ascending loop, it's always going to start in the middle of the line, whatever guideline you're using. You're going to start, so it will go into a reverse on the top. Light pressure, reverse backwards, past the point you started into a downstroke. These Crayolas are actually made to go pretty big. Make a bigger one there. Okay. Next we have a descending loop. Starts in the center, except it starts reverse. It's upside down ascending loop. You're going to start with heavy pressure and you're going to go clockwise. No. Sorry about that. Okay, you're going to start on the very top line. Full pressure down and stop in the middle. Actually, this is just an example. When you're performing the downstroke, the descending loop, it is going to start on the bottom line. That's correct. So for example, like the letter P, it's going to start in the center, go backwards, and then you add. So yeah, it's the descending loop here on the practice sheet is just going through the whole guideline. Okay, sorry to confuse you. Okay, this is a new one that I don't normally practice, but we do find it in our alphabet, and it's always good to practice if you're gonna go through all the basic strokes. Comma dot. The easiest way to execute this comma dot is just to press down and lift right up without any thought, without going any further, without anything. Just apply pressure and flick it. Little Nike check mark. It's not gonna look good. You'll probably end up like this. I mean, it's gonna look all crazy ways until you create that muscle memory after so much practice. Not much to it, just kind of learning that basic stroke. Just give it a quick teardrop and up. Don't spend too much time in one spot and just flick it right out. And what this comma dot is an exit stroke or a connecting stroke for the next letter. So for example, let me do the letter V. Have the V there. Well, where's the V gonna connect to my next letter? By a comma dot. So I think we have not too many. Oh, I have it here. We have the V, the W. That's it. Oh, there was one more. Hold on. Let me. Oh, and the O. If you do the O the proper way, I guess you could say, without adding extra loops, the O is supposed to have a comma dot as well. So only 3 letters that have the comma dot. It doesn't get used often, but to throw it in your practice would be great. Okay. Any questions for page 2 before I move forward? So now we have page 3 with our brush lettering basics and tips. Okay, I think I'm gonna just grab another, I'm just gonna grab my graph paper, and I think this page is self-explanatory. I'm gonna go over it in details, but if I need to write it down, I'm gonna use my paper here. Okay. So honestly, here on this top portion of the basics and tips, I would honestly consider these my top 5. So learning calligraphy and going over your basics, warming up, whatever you need to know. From personal experience, I honestly think these are my top 5. If you can execute these, you'll be pretty great at hand lettering. My first tip would be, of course, I guess it's self-explanatory, but heavy pressure on your downstroke. So every time your pen goes in a downward motion towards your body, you want to apply pressure, flex your pen against the paper. You know, pretty basic. We go over this all the time. I tell you, these pens are flexible. These pens are made to flex. They will bounce back and go into their shape. Crayola, you want to flex it over onto the side of the body. And anytime the pen goes towards you, it will always be a downstroke. Light pressure, practice your upstrokes. Almost no pressure, using the very tip of your pen. Sometimes if you end up skipping, that's good. That means you're getting closer to the thinnest possible line you can create. I guess when you're practicing skipping lines, it actually is really good. Your lines are just getting thinner and lighter is what we want. Again, just using the very tip of your pen, and honestly, the upstrokes are probably the hardest to learn just because we want to create the thinnest line as possible. My second of my top 5 would be to practice your entrance and exit strokes. You want to lift your pen after every stroke. The space between each letter should be the same every time you draw letters and shapes. Creating your letters with the entrance and exit strokes will help you stay consistent. So here's my exit, 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 exit. Oh, one more. Exit. So as long as you continue on practicing entrance and exits, your spacing between each letter will be the same during your projects, and just helps with muscle memory overall. One stroke at a time. We're going to go more into a little drill we can create by picking up your pen and changing color pen like that here. We'll go into that on the next page. And also, this learning this way will avoid your letters being too close together. So that's all I have for tip number 2. With tip number 3, write slow. Slow and controlled. Think of it as drawing, not writing. I know it could get frustrating when you cannot get that thick and thin right. That's because you're just writing too fast. Yes, it'll take you 10 times longer, but just writing, lifting, stopping, pausing, readjusting, slow, continue, exit, think about it, draw your strokes. Gives you the calligraphy you're looking for. So top 3, write slow. Tip 4, you want to hold your pen in the middle of the barrel at a 45-degree angle. So you don't want to hold your pen here. You want to hold your pen like this, 45-degree angle, like the picture. No matter how light or how heavy you're going, you want to keep it at this same angle, holding it in the middle of the barrel. So about right here. And also using your wrists, hand, and elbow motion. Don't have to do it every time, but that's another tip. If you just can't seem, you want to try different ways, and moving your wrist and hand is another way to help. Speaking on this, I actually came across a tip on a different subject. It had nothing to do with calligraphy. I was actually learning more on nails, because I know a couple of you know I picked up doing nails, and one lady mentioned it's all about your wrist motion, and I do mention that, since she said for every time you're going to sit down and start, and I'm incorporating this into my calligraphy tips, is to do some wrist warm-ups. Never thought to do it. Just sit down and rotate your wrist forward, rotate your wrist backwards, wake up your wrists, wake up your fingers, kind of just give yourself some exercises. Never thought to do that with calligraphy until yesterday. I sat down, I twisted my wrist, I did what she said, and hey, it really warmed up my fingers and hands.
That's a good tip. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm really going to mention that every time now, because we can always use that when writing these crazy strokes. Okay, so my number 5 top tip is to lift your pen just before the bottom. So I mentioned that on the previous page when we were going over our strokes. So again, just right before the bottom. So we have an understroke, and right about this area, you can see my transition there. You can see how it's starting to take shape, and then I just come right up with the tip of my pen. So just very, very, like a couple of hairlines away from the bottom. Again, all about muscle memory. Once you know you're going to reach the bottom, you're going to start releasing. And you do not want to end up with too much at the bottom. So that's me releasing around here. And this is what we do not want. We do not want this. I release the pen on the right side. I'm going to release it on the left side. Same thing goes for an oval. Same thing goes, this is, honestly, this should be my number 1 tip. I should recreate my whole entire workbook. No, but I'm kidding. This honestly should be my number 1 tip, because once you figure out that, it's over. Because again, you have it for your underturns, your overturn, your compound. Honestly, this tip right here, releasing before the bottom, is your whole entire basic strokes. Transitioning too late will end up here with the soggy bottom. And doing drills, what we're gonna go over next, doing drills will definitely help with this issue. Okay, and just here on the bottom, I'm just gonna do a quick run through on other basic tips and tricks. These are not my top 5, but definitely help practice. Utilize guidelines, graph paper, dot grid paper, anything like that, printable or in a notebook. Smooth paper, make sure it's always smooth. HP premium paper, again in a notebook like I have here, or if you have something printed, so like we mentioned to you, print this workbook or pick it up from the library, it's printed on HP premium paper. Even if you just grab, I like to pull my tracing paper out of my workbook. If you're going to do anything of that kind, secure it to a clipboard. We don't want the papers sliding around, because I know we all have had sliding paper. Practice writing with different writing tools. Again, that's something I like to show here in class. I like to pick up different writing tools during our project time, just to show you what is out there on the market and what's available. Writing tools like pencils. Pencil's a good one. That's really fun to learn with, the dark and lightness of a pencil. Obviously a dip pen. They have fountain pens. Yeah, so different writing tools. Try new writing styles. It doesn't always have to be calligraphy. The way quotes are designed nowadays, with all the creativity out there, they incorporate monoline. So monoline is all your calligraphy strokes, but with no thickness. So monoline is a different writing style to incorporate. Of course, foligraphy, we're gonna go over that next. And just adding bold print or even lowercase print to your calligraphy styles and mixing it up sometimes. Mentioned here, using wrist, arm, shoulder movements. Consistency helps with muscle memory. So as long as you keep it straight, practice entrance and exit strokes, it will eventually help with shakiness. Practice, and trace directly over words. So tracing, grab a quote from Pinterest or even the quotes I provide during class, and just grab a tracing paper and trace right over that. Another side tip, minuscule is lowercase and majuscule is uppercase. I hope I'm saying that right. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I should have asked Sari to sound it out for me before I tried butchering it.
I've never heard of it. So it's like another style, another technique.
It's just the technical term. I should have introduced it different. So the technical term for lowercase is, let me write that down. Yeah. So the technical term for lowercase is considered minuscule. Can you see that there? Nope. Right there. Minuscule is
minuscule.
Minuscule.
Okay.
See?
That's
Told you I
okay.
didn't know how to say it. And so then how do you say the uppercase? Majuscule. Majuscules. See, now I can't even say it. Is uppercase. Say that again, Celeste.
Minuscule.
Minuscule.
I'm not sure about the second one though. Majus, I don't know.
So cule sounds the same. So minuscule. I'm gonna ask Sari later. Okay, I'll get it. But I thought that was cool. Some information I came across when I was getting the new workbook together, and I thought that was pretty awesome to share. I don't think they use it often I don't hear it often. I honestly didn't hear it until recently, but thought that was pretty interesting. Okay. So here we have added, I have added page 4. And here I'm gonna show you some practice drills. So here with the practice drills, try to squeeze it all on one page. I recommend grabbing a blank sheet of paper, blank guideline, tracing paper even, and filling up entire rows of these different techniques. Even if you're gonna just fill up a whole entire page of just drills, but this page is just gonna give you examples of different practice drills to do when you wanna sit down and do something. Like I said, even if you wanna fill up half a page with different ones, but again, I'm just gonna go over some examples. So again, these are example warm-up drills, a great way to start your calligraphy practice session, help develop muscle memory and create smooth lines and curves. So I will, just gonna grab my graph paper again. So here on the top portion, let me grab a different pen. I'll grab a Pentel brush pen. These are the pens that I'm going to be using later on in our quote. So drills, sitting down and just drawing a bunch of drills is one way. Actually, what I want to do is do different drills. So we're obviously going to have access to these drills, but I think each month I want to just throw a couple of alternatives just to help give us some better ideas of. And again, if you look up calligraphy drills or even, what's the word? Copper plate drills and calligraphy drills, you'll end up with crazy doodle swiggly lines like this, but it's pretty fun. Something to get you moving instead of just doing our basic strokes. So top one, it's like a letter S that continues. Just continue without lifting your pen. See how far you can take it. I think I'm just gonna stop halfway. Okay. Let me switch it up a little bit. Another one can be something more of a pointed up and down. The second drill here, I had demonstrated a few underturns that just continued and continued without lifting my pen. A large, tight loop. Swirls, actually, this would be considered swirls. Let me see. No, this is the tight loop. So these are tight loops, and you're just gonna make your loop big enough to circle back and overlap. Slow it down a bit so I could see my thick and thin. And then another one similar to this would just be swirls. So just making the swirl big enough so you can loop back around, overlap the loop swirl. So, and then this is without an overlap, you can do a little baby swirl, but without overlapping.
Where is everyone? Where is everyone?
I don't know. I'm in class right now. They're probably on the back patio. Oh.
Only Avery and Baby Bo are.
Okay. Shh.
There's a train now. The train and the brush.
Yes. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So yeah, warm-up drills. Probably sitting down for after you did your wrist motions. Start off with some crazy looking drills and then move on to whatever main drill you want to do. The next one is this one I pulled out of my old workbook. Looks familiar. Here I would call it lift the pen if you do not want to use two colors, or switch pen color. So here I switched my pen color from black and gray. And then I'm just going to continue after P. So after P will be Q. And then I'm going to switch. Every time I finish one stroke, I'm going to drop my pen and switch. Oh, actually, this was supposed to be Q, R. Let's try that again. R and an S is a single stroke. S. That's a tricky combination. The tricky connecting letters. I'm going to add that to my connecting letters class. Okay. RS. T. Now let's try transitioning into just lifting your pen. So if you don't want to switch pens, I suggest roll your wrist back and continue. So U, row, V, here's our comma dot, V, W, another comma dot, X, Y. Let me go back into changing my pen. Okay, so there we have it. Lifting your pen after every stroke, or switching pens, or just lifting your pen, but with one color. This one is going to help you with one of my top 5 tips, and that is learning your entrance and exit strokes and stopping and pausing and going slow and controlled. This drill here. All right, so connecting letters, that's another one. I've mentioned this in the past. So this is actually 2 different ones that I recommend. So on the first one, this is basically, I'm telling you, start with double A and end in double Z. So what I mean by that is you would go through your whole entire alphabet. Letter A, and your second connecting letter is going to be A, B. So what I want you to do is go through your whole entire alphabet. The first letter is going to stay the same, and the second letter is going to flow through the alphabet. And you're going to continue that, changing the second letter until you get to a Z. And once you get to a Z, you're gonna follow through the next letter in the alphabet at the beginning. So that will be B. B, A, B, B, all the way to B, Z. And then eventually you'll end up at double Z.
And Rachel, you must have a lot of patience.
What part? What part?
The whole alphabet.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes and no, because I think I mentioned this before, but I want to say it took me about 6 months or longer to do it. So challenge yourself. It's a fun little project to do. I think I would sit down and probably just go through my whole entire A's just for practice and fun. And honestly, it was at the very beginning. And if it wasn't for this, I probably wouldn't be as good as I am today, because that's really a really good practice. Zone out. Let's just get letters on the page, however you want to see it. Practice drills on the page. But yeah, that's a fun one. You can do it like this, just A, B, A, C. I personally filled up half a page, A, and I think I was able to get maybe anywhere from 4 to 6, depending on the letter combination. I would split my page in the middle, found the middle page, and I would do it like that. A, B, A, C, and just like that. Because what I'm trying to do is just practice and perfect that letter form. And it did. By the time I finished so many letter A's, my AZ was like perfect. It was good. It was a good little drill. And then another connecting letter trick is just to get tricky combinations. So here I would just recommend tricky combinations. So that RS that we just came across, that would be a nice tricky combination. R directly into S. With the thing about RS, it looks flawless when the pen is never lifted. Same thing goes for OR and IS. And then we have IS. And then we all know S's have so many variations, different ways, however you personally like to write it. When doing this whole AA to ZZ, you'll find tricky combinations, and you could kind of make a little bank of combinations you want to create later on. That's a fun one, where you come across a real difficult one and I need more practice. Throw it on another page so you don't mess up your flow. Yeah, so connecting tricky letters, connecting any letters at that, double S. So there is my connecting letters drill that I recommend. And then a different way of writing would be foligraphy. Briefly going over what foligraphy is. We have foligraphy being useful for multiple reasons. You could create it when you do not have a flexible pen. Usually when you're working with a Sharpie oil pen, Sharpie, non-flexible tips, chalk markers, or even just chalk in a basic chalk in a chalkboard. Learning foligraphy here on paper. And once you get onto crafts like I just mentioned, it'll be a whole lot better once you get writing on those hard surfaces with non-flexible pens. You could purposely create foligraphy to add color, embellishment, and doodles. It teaches you where the thick and thin strokes are. And also you can actually add a second line when you're doing your basic strokes, like the letter H. Well, I don't like how thin that is, so I'm gonna jump into my foligraphy knowledge and add a second line on every downstroke and make it as thick as I desire. So here we're gonna just write the word faux with a monoline pen. And you're gonna draw every stroke. And you're gonna make it a little bit rounder than normal because you wanna leave enough space to add your second line. So let me just switch colors. I guess I could just use the Crayola, the very tip, just so we could see the second line. So I'm adding a second line to every downstroke. And then, so this is black, you're using a chalkboard. You're gonna fill in the gap. If you wanna add to color, or just add a color in general, I'm just gonna fill it in. Or if you wanna maybe do some doodles. Just color it in. So yeah, foligraphy, when you do not have a flexible pen available, or if you're purposely trying to create a foligraphy design for your project. Okay. So next, I left this words portion blank because I want y'all to just throw out a word to me. I'll throw out a word, kind of switch it up a bit and throw out some random words that we can just practice. Again, that's probably one of the main things aside from practicing your basic strokes, just sitting down and just writing a bunch of random words. I would sit and watch TV. If I heard a word on TV that I wanted to write, then I would write the word. I write my name. I write Spring Branch, San Antonio, just words. Let me see. I have a word bank here that I was gonna refer to. Okay.
I have a couple I want to throw out.
Let's go for it. Come on, give me a
word. The word pepper.
Yeah,
like salt and pepper.
Fun. Okay. All right, entrance stroke, reverse oval, regular oval, exit, E. So the E is a funny one because you can go back and add the connector, or if you train yourself well enough, you could just create the whole E in one stroke. Oh, so if I would have thought closely, I would have gone straight into the R. And there we go. I saw the Salt and Pepper documentary on TV. I think it was about a month ago. That was fun.
You mean the music group?
Yeah, there was a special. It was so good. You know, I think it was TLC. Yeah.
Yeah, the TLC movie was good. Really good.
Okay, so that's what I meant. That one. The most recent one. It just came out. Did you see that one? With the two young girls?
No, I didn't see the Salt and Pepper documentary, but I saw the TLC movie that came out maybe like around 2010, 2012, something around there.
Oh, okay. No, they just came out with one like a month ago, and it was a document. Oh no, it was a movie, because a documentary is when they interview. So no, it was a movie. So no, I want to say it was even Lifetime. I'll get back to you on that one. It might even be Lifetime. Yeah, they just came out with them, just the way they do the Whitney Houston one and all that. It was so good. Two young girls played Salt and Pepper. And what's cool is Salt and Pepper actually directed it, so they say there was just extra information in there. Okay. Next word I have here, we can follow along on the word pepper, is kitchen. So I'm going to just add a little bit of bounce, or give not so much bounce, but just give it a little bit of character, not so squared off like I normally write. I'm just giving it a little. Something. To switch up your style, you can make your ascending loops wider. You can drop down low. You can make your letters maybe smaller. Drop it above and down. Or here's another one. This is the letter I, but it's creating more of a flick as opposed to a rounded underturn like we're used to. So there's just little tips, making it smaller, adding a bounce at the top, adding a bounce at the bottom, making your ascending loop rounder, maybe your entrance stroke a little bit extended. Just different ways to switch it up. Does anybody want to throw out another word?
Bliss.
Got it. Let's freehand that one. And I was about to write the word baby, so it's supposed to be. Oh, Baba. Whoops. Just throw my Y. There. I thought I was doing drills for a minute. I'll do one more. Two more. Let's do the word flower. And let's do phone. Oh, don't like that there. Not enough space. Yeah, so like I mentioned, just going back and adding a second line where you feel you want to see it. Every project's different. If you're probably working on a bigger page, you just want your downstrokes to look thicker. Let's go back and add your downstroke where you like. Okay. Okay, so just to get these pages out of the way, we'll continue through, and then we're gonna move on to our worksheet. So that's gonna be, what do we have this month? Letter M and the word April. And haha, the quote is Easter. I didn't plan accordingly. I just thought, okay, April, Easter,
Right.
Easter bunny, Easter quote. Oh, Easter was a long time ago. Oh gosh, when I was putting all my papers together the other day. Oh well, it's still April. Yeah, so I went ahead and combined these two pages. Supply recommendations stayed the same, kind of just stacked them on the left side. We really don't do anything with this right side. I had dedicated a whole page to just line paper, so I shrunk that down. Pretty self-explanatory. I just want to let you know the name of each line whenever you get more in depth and you in debt with your guidelines, and move away from double line into slanted graph or graph grid, and you want to be just very specific or understanding your calligraphy. Videos that you're watching online, they all have a name. So ascender line, of course, anything above that go ascending loop. I don't know what that was. Ascending loop, the letter T, the letter L. So again, anything above the waistline. All the main letters are formed in between the area that's called the X height. So that's between our waistline and a baseline. All our basic letters, O, N, E, A, U, X, and of course when we're talking lowercase. And then descender, letter P, the F, any descending loops that drop below Q, Y. Again, you start off basic with your double line, elementary kind of style of lines. And then you work your way up to slanted. You'll end up with graph paper that will be up and down or even slanted. Using line paper, any type of line graph paper will help with keeping your baseline consistent, and it will avoid words tilting up and down in directions you don't want. And again, eventually helps to muscle memory. So if you work with guidelines and then you go and freehand it somewhere else, more than likely your letters will be pretty straight. As long as you sit down and do drills and practices with this type of papers. Again, slant graph, they have regular graph, dot grid. So I guess that goes here. Graph grid and slanted graph is pretty much the same thing. notebook paper, creating your own guidelines, putting your X height where you need them, just drawing some graph paper or some line paper with the pencil and ruler is another way just to keep your lines going straight. And the size of the pen will determine how many lines you will use. So small brush pen, more than likely your X height will be 1 square. If you're going to use a large brush pen, maybe drawing an X for 3 squares. And just keep in mind, if you're going to use 3 lines for your X height, you want to do your ascender 3 rows up and your descender 3 rows down. So just keeping it consistent that way. Last page is our uppercase and lowercase alphabet. This is just for a takeaway for you to refer back to when you're sitting down and writing words. Use as a reference guide. Super neat technique here on the uppercase where it tells you where to start, how many strokes are in each letter. And then I added my lowercase alphabet right below each letter, and then change the color just so you can break down what strokes go into what letter. So that's all I have for the workbook. Do as you please with the line paper. Just wanted to provide that for you. Make copies of it anytime you need to have a blank piece of paper. You can access it through the online calendar.
Rachel, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when beginning a word that starts with, let's say, the letter A, but instead of like uppercase, it's a lowercase a, do you use the entrance stroke?
I like that question because I was kind of talking myself about that. Let me just fast forward to this.
Okay.
Because here I did not use no entrance and no uppercase. But then I noticed how here on the word B, I have an entrance, the letter N. My B's, I had a habit. So I didn't even stay consistent when I preached to you to stay consistent. But honestly, it's up to you, because I think when I started creating this, I told myself no entrance because that's the look I was going for.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got comfortable, my habit started to form.
Right.
And then I didn't notice it up until the other day when I was grabbing my papers. So there's no rule. It depends. So like I said, in my mind, I told myself this project is going to be different with no entrance.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's up to you on what you're working on.
I do see the rationale behind it of the drill with the entrance stroke, because you may use it in other forms, in other ways, or projects.
So I push it because that's a muscle memory I would love for you to just memorize. And honestly, the reason I practice entrance is to get those perfect spacing. And I'm not going to say avoid entrance strokes. Don't worry about entrance strokes. All you got to worry about is exits. No, that doesn't make sense because it still plays a big role in the whole concept of the basic strokes of learning entrance and exits. But honestly, I think for the most part, I do always use, the reason I was here adding these entrance strokes, like this little E would be even considered an entrance stroke, because I've always done it. I think from what I've learned and taught myself, that's kind of what's out there in the internet. I guess there's some letters like the letter C. Probably not, you know. It honestly looks better started without an entrance strokes. So I guess they're all different. I wouldn't even put an entrance stroke there because I don't like the way it looks. But here on the word B, I love the way that looks. So I'm always gonna do that. So however you want it to look. I don't think there's a specific rule against it. Good question though. That made me think. Okay. Next, I'm gonna move on to the letter M and the word April. Okay. Here on the letter M, uppercase, majuscule. I'm gonna figure out that pronunciation. We have the upstroke using the very tip of your pen. And honestly, this is like a curved letter V. So maybe in the back of your head, think of it like a letter S. Or maybe a slight letter S. Here on this one, top to bottom. And then you're gonna just come right back up. So honestly, this is like the letter V. So the first stroke is like a letter S, but it ends up looking like the letter V. And the third stroke is a long underturn, a not full underturn. So again, first stroke is our upstroke at an angle, a S, and then a V, an S that goes into a V, that transforms into a V, underturn that does not hit the top line. And the reason I say that is the letter S is because I want to show you what happens if you don't do that. Just going over that middle stroke, if you just end up like that. I mean, yes, I guess it does look nice like this as well. But the way I'm honestly going over I guess the copper plate style, and this is every time I teach uppercase, I'm going off of this page. So here on the letter M, you can see that there. Copper plate style, I guess I should call this top. Just adding that little swirl and character to it. These copper plates are very difficult because if you do too much or not enough, they just don't seem to look right. And I try to avoid uppercase as much as possible. I just like teaching it so y'all get a feel of other strokes. Next, we have the letter M. The lowercase letter M. We have overturn, a second overturn, and a compound curve. Just slightly touching one another, slightly overlapping. Letter M and letter N were one of my enemies when I first started, but until I figured out to break it down into 3 strokes, was turned into one of my favorites to practice. Okay, breaking it up and giving it a little bounce, a little slanted entrance. Second stroke nearly the same. Third stroke above the baseline, above the waistline and below the baseline. You can do the opposite, or actually upstroke, stop, doing it that way. The first overturn to go above the waistline, and the compound curve to end below the waistline. Another way of writing the bounce letter M. Next, we have the faux calligraphy letter M. I like to leave space. I like to draw the space while I'm drawing the letter. When it comes to this form of faux calligraphy, where I plan to leave it open. Add a little color to my lowercase letter m. One second. Okay, I'm just checking on something. Okay. Next we have Happy Easter. I'm going to just trace over that. Happy Easter I wrote with a little bit more bounce. The double P is different. Whenever you have a double P, a double T, a double S, double R, sometimes you'll see this trend where they don't make them the same. The reason for that is it's hard to make them look identical, so they purposely make them look completely different.
May robot Jimmy ate.
Hold on. Okay. Avery, I'm in class. Okay. Next, we have April. First, we're going to go over the strokes that create the word April. Entrance, oval, underturn, descending loop. Actually, reverse over that first one. Okay, this is a regular oval here. R, underturn, ascending loop.
Do.
Okay. Okay, next we have April and faux calligraphy. Again, with faux calligraphy, leaving enough space to draw your second line. The reason I draw my second line as I draw is so I can leave my space open without any cross strokes, disrupting my empty space. Okay, next we have the bounce April. With bounce, I always like to mention that anytime you design your bounce or your flourish, you want to sketch and place. So you want to, with the bounce, it's going to be dropped below the baseline and above the waistline, but drawing the word April with the pencil and figuring out where you want your bounce. That's what I mean by sketching. And the same thing for the flourish. The thing with the flourish is you want to add flourishes to open spaces and fill up open spaces. But again, just to start off, writing the basic word would be the best way to get your flourish and bounce to look the way you want it to. This is called an expanded form, and you're just expanding your entrance and exit strokes. So a long entrance, a regular A, expanded exit stroke. Expanded exit directly into R. Just long exit strokes. And then here's our April. So this is an uppercase, a copper plate uppercase A. The first stroke in the letter P will be one stroke. Oh, okay. Also with the flourishes, you want to, after sketching them, once you design them and draw them in your final, you want to draw them as one stroke. And then the L is going to have an extended entrance stroke up above everything, drop into the main stroke of L. So yeah. The shorter the words, the harder to find spaces to fill up these spots. Okay. Moving on to our project. So with today's project, I'm going to be using these pens that these pens here. They are, the pen that I'm highlighting are the Pentel sign brush pens. These were one of the two sets that I first bought. Try to stay in the Easter color theme. That's what I have there. Quote says, "I was going to tell you a joke about an egg, but it's not all it's cracked up to be." Okay. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and freehand this. guess I could be reading while I'm writing. I'm sorry. Tell you a joke about my purple looks frayed. When it's frayed, I don't know if you could see, but when your pens begin to fray, it starts adding a second brush markings where you don't want it. An egg but it oh, there's my entrance. I was trying to avoid not all it's cracked. So in my opinion, these letters are too big for this size of brush pen. Two. Yeah. There we go. I was going to tell you a joke about an egg, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. I thought that was so freaking cute. Since we have a little bit more time, I got this quote off, there's a local restaurant that had this picture frame, and I was standing there waiting for my food, and I started to read it, and I was just so touched, I guess you could say, by this quote that I literally, and I still have this paper. I have my receipt, and I literally wrote it on the back of my receipt because I just loved it so much. And I want to, since I've honestly been wanting to squeeze it into a class, and I just never been able to. And I thought we can do it today for fun. Really pretty quote. Let me see. Okay. Now I'm going to use 2 lines. And the quote goes, and I would like for you to follow along if you just have some scratch paper. It says, someday day is one word. Someday, everything let me close the door, I'm sorry. I should have had it locked from the very beginning. Okay. everything will, let's see. So if I do my X height to, okay, so this is a cool little lesson right here. So if I were to do my X height 2 rows high, I'm gonna do my ascending loop 2 rows high above and my descending loop 2 rows below. And then this is where you get personal. So you can completely add a whole, let's just do it here. I'm gonna just void out a whole 2 lines and it's gonna leave me spacing so that I could fill up the page. And then start over 2 lines for ascending and 2 lines for X height, 2 lines for descending. Okay. Everything will make perfect sense. Might as well just go all the way down to keep me. Oh, hold on. X below, space above, X. Okay. Sense. For now, laugh. At the confusion. Smile. I think I'm running out of space here. Smile. Through. Oh, I gotta switch pens. reminding I did run out. Maybe if I were doing this, because I'm doing it huge to show you, honestly, I would probably end up doing one square if it was just me sitting here practicing. Reminding yourself that everything happens for a reason.
Thank you, Rachel. I have to get going.
Okay.
Okay.
Good
Appreciate it.
Good talking to you. Bye. Thanks,
Okay.
Celeste.
All right.
Bye-bye. 4. Reason. So, everything will make perfect sense. For now, laugh at the confusion, smile through the tears, and keep reminding yourself that everything happens for a reason. I love it. I hope everyone else does too. But I just really been wanting to share that. And again, it was just in a picture frame, and I thought, hey, I'm gonna come home. Such a beautiful quote to come home and calligraphy it. But that is it for today's class.